Welcome to People Are Everything, the show where I ask my guests who are the 5 people that have shaped the person you are today. And today we are joined by Julian Lorenzo Farrapeira. As well as having a very difficult name for me to pronounce, he also has an incredible life that I guess I'm a bit envious of. So you'll come to hear this in a moment. He gets up in the morning before anything else and goes actual surfing on an actual ocean in Brazil. I mean, what kind of life is that? Absolutely incredible. I'm very, very envious. You're going to love this conversation. He's quite the guy. You know, he's from a very young age, very focused, very, very much an intentional person, somebody who really knows what they want and then goes for it. So sit back and enjoy this one. You might learn something about manifesting. He's certainly done an awful lot of that for great success. So yeah, sit back and enjoy Julian Lorenzo Farrapeira. Hello, Julian, and welcome to People Are Everything. First of all, how are you? And tell me, what's the weather like where you are? I know you're somewhere sunny and hot.
Yeah, I'm doing awesome. And, as Marshall says, life is good. Here the weather is lovely. So, yeah, life is good for sure.
And for our watchers and listeners, where are you exactly? I know, but I think you should tell them so they can hate
Right
you.
now, yeah, right now in Brazil, in an island called Florianopolis. It's a beautiful place. So, yeah, it's lovely. I recommend you to visit this place.
Have you ever lived anywhere cold, like England, for example?
Yeah, I spent like 6 months in England.
Yeah.
It was great. And even where I was born in Spain is cold, but I prefer, warm weather.
We all do. I tell you what, I get very creaky around now. So when are we recording this? In January. I'm getting creaky. The bones start to ache a bit. Everything's desperate for some warmth, and I need a tan. I miss my summer tan. By about now, it's faded completely. So looking forward to the sunshine. But good. Well, I've never met anybody who lives in Brazil. I have to admit, I've never been to Brazil. I suppose I grew up watching your footballers. That's about as much as I can claim to know about the Brazilian culture. So, when we get into who you are and what you're about, if you can is that your birthplace or is it just where you're residing now?
Yeah, it's where I live right now. I was born in Spain.
Okay.
And I travel a lot for work. So, my mindset is to live very global. But I spent like the last 10 years living here in the Silicon Valley of Brazil. So yeah, it was a decision, to live in a place where I can serve, work in tech companies or for tech companies as well. So that was a decision I made 10 years ago.
And is that your lifestyle? It's like business in the day, surfing in the evening, or first thing in the morning. Is that your typical day?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. First thing, meditation, surfing, then work, So I believe that if you want to be a great leader, you need the great energy. So starting the day like doing that for me, it's very, very important.
So meditation, did you say, is the first thing you do?
Yeah, first.
Yeah. I tried a bit of meditation the other day. Someone said to me, try and think of your thoughts as passing you by as opposed to being yours, right? So watch it like a movie type thing. Hopeless, utterly hopeless I was. And I was trying really hard to do the breath thing, just focus on the breath, focus on the breath. And honestly, I have about 500 thoughts a moment in my head. And I really know that this is supposed to be very good for that. And I know I should try it. I listened to a guy called Sam Harris. Do you know him?
No.
He has an app called Waking Up, I think, something like that. So yeah, I know it's really important to take time, really kind of slow your heart rate and really kind of focus and stuff. But I think the reason we're so in awe of people who can do it is it's extremely hard. Have you been practicing for a long time? Is this something that took you a while to get your head around?
I think the last 8 years, right now it's a daily habit I do every day. I can't start the day without doing that. So I did some courses from the Art of Living. And so I learned how important is it, all the breathing thing to be more, more focused, more present. So, I have a lot of ideas. So that is very good for me, to be more focused. And, I believe it's very important, to have this present when, if I am with you right now, I need to be 100% here. If I'm doing another thing, I try to do that.
It's a superpower for sure. I think that's why we're all in awe of people who can do it. Well, let's talk about firstly how we came to meet. You're one of the Marshall Goldsmith stable as well, and I want to say a bit about Brandon before we go into you, if that's all right. Just because he
Right.
just seems to be this super connector of people, right? And I thought Matt Ziegler was a super connector, and you still are, Matt. If you're listening, you're still the number one. But Brandon is so generous. I interviewed him back end of last year, and the first thing he did was tell everybody, and then say, you need to speak to this person, this person, this person, this person. And it's reopened a side of this podcast that I wouldn't have expected, because I'm meeting people from all over the world. The work that you guys do is obviously very tuned into the subject matter of people being everything. So the depth and quality of conversation has been excellent. And he's also the guy that stays in touch and says, what else can I do for you? And this kind of stakeholder-centered thing is like, I've actually used some of these things, the principles of them that I've learned from the people that he's introduced me to. So he's just the gift that keeps on giving. So if you're listening, Brandon, thank you very much. And and thank you for introducing me to Julian here. So he's a really great guy, isn't he? Of course you're going to say that, but he is a great guy.
Yeah, he's fascinating. He's one of the person, like, I'm more fascinated about how he is. We spent it was August 2024. Marshall created like a program called Train the Trainers,
Mm-hmm.
and Young Leadership program to help to bring his legacy, continue the legacy, and help young leaders and other people to continue that. And Brandon, he was there, and he was one of the most amazing, always taking care of every detail so everybody feels good. He's very extremely humble. We usually talk once a month at least, and it's very inspiring. He's the kind of person you want to learn how he connects with everybody. He has this capacity to connect with everybody and to make feel everybody that is important in the room. So yeah, he's awesome person. So thanks to Brandon for this introduction for sure.
But I'm fascinated by those kind of people too, because I always think, what does their network look like? So it was obviously you have to keep someone like that going. So it was really interesting to hear who he chose as his 5, because obviously those are the people that allow him to be Brandon, right? So I think let's get into your story. That's enough about me and enough about him. Let's talk about you, as they say. So what I do know about you is obviously the whole Marshall Goldsmith is a central, his philosophy, his way of being, his way of teaching, his way of leading is very much embedded in your DNA. I know you're an author. I know that you're a very respected practitioner in your field. I know you've worked with a lot of very high level people and very high level companies. But and now I know you surf. So, but rather than me sort of paint the whole picture, why don't you share in your own words who you believe you are and what you're all about?
I believe, as somebody that I like to leave like a legacy, like Marshall, taught me that it's very important to serve. So I believe my mission is, to change how leadership development is done, and to bring the importance of well-being in leadership. So what I would say is like, yeah, I am a learner that try to, to bring something positive to the world.
And Wellbeing Leadership, that's your business, isn't it? It's actually called that. Is it your company? Did you found it? Tell me more about that. Tell me more about it.
Yeah, it's the company I founded 5 years ago. So I had experience working, as HR leader in big companies. And once I introduced my first book, then the people say, oh, you can talk more about this topic, because anybody has merged this well-being and leadership both together. So this is the idea, to help leaders give resources to lead better, to think about the well-being of their people, because well-being plus leadership is equal to business results. This is what I believe. This is not because it's good or fancy, because it brings results to the companies and also improve people's lives. So this is my business, my mission, and and what I want to bring to the whole world.
And I imagine then there's also an element of well-being for the leader, because obviously if you're not well yourself, mind, body, spirit and all that, you're not going to be a particularly good leader, because you'll either have health issues or you'll have stress issues, or you just may not be developed enough to be, or worked on enough to be, an inspiring leader in the first place. So do you also focus on that side of things? So helping leaders create environments of well-being for their teams, but also look after themselves.
Yeah, for sure. So we have a model. So we first work the importance of self-awareness, how do you bring that, then the importance of emotional intelligence, how to develop other people, how to achieve these sustainable results. And the last part, when we talk about well-being, you need to, start by yourself, because you need to lead by example. So it's very difficult to say to people, okay, you need to take care of yourself, or you need to have this sustainable high performance if you're not doing that, and loads of leaders, they are, they're having problems to do that well. And sometimes it's only about the resources, the methodology and the techniques to do small things better, and reflect about that.
And is there an element of, I'm just thinking about the surfing thing now. Is there an element of you that brings that surfing is like an embodiment of everything? So it's like there's a mastery, isn't there, in surfing? There's a mind-body thing going on when you're out in the ocean. There's definitely a meditative element. Do you feel like you're a better surfer because you focus on these things? And also, how good a surfer are you? Because I'm just curious to see if, are you someone who can just ride the wave, or are you someone who just gets up, wobbles around a bit and falls off? That'll be me.
So right now, my surfing skills, have improved a lot. Because the last 10 years I was surfing quite a lot. Actually, I was surfing this morning before I came here. So I believe, actually, it was very funny because I was in London. I was writing my new book and think about that, reflecting it was 2017. I was doing an interview at Twitter that moment, and the interviewer, he sold his company to Twitter for hundreds of millions of dollars, and he recommended me a book about the importance of surfing for leadership. And right now, for me, I believe is surfing for me is very important to be a better leader. To be more focused. To things change all the time when you're on the sea. Any sea is the same, and any wave is the same. It's like any people in your in your team is going to be the same. You need to treat everybody differently. So I learned a lot about about surfing, how to be a better leader, and the opposite. Or, probably yes, that having all these resources to be a better surfer. And you learn by doing. Having some big waves sometimes in your head, and you say it sometimes because you are not present, and then you learn, I need to be here 100%.
Oh yes,
If not,
I bet
if not, it can be risky.
I'm sure the ocean will punish you, especially if you. I love the word hubris, and I think hubris in leaders can be the downfall. If you have too much, I don't know. Let's just say humility is a good thing, particularly in the ocean. So I think that's probably a very good metaphor for business and leadership. All right. So, well, listen, let's talk about your 5. The question I always start with, really, which is, how did you find choosing the 5? Was it something that you came to straight away? Was it quite, I don't know, hard going? Tell me your experience of it.
So I think last month I was in Rio de Janeiro doing a keynote speaking with Junior Achievement. It's a beautiful organization to help young leaders, to to change the world, to do better, his president is Ashish. He's part of the Marshall Goldsmith community, and he wrote a book with Marshall. So one of the exercises of the book, Modern Leadership, is to define your heroes. So I did that some weeks ago. And it was very helpful, to think, reflect about these very important people in my life. So maybe that was helpful, and to now have more clarity.
I like that. I like the kind of 5 heroes as opposed to 5 sort of people that shaped you, because I think they're actually can in some cases they are completely interchangeable, aren't they? Because I suppose a hero to by most people's description is someone who's they look up to and aspire towards, or they feel that person has influenced them or impacted them in some way. So I think the hero thing versus not versus but as an approach is a good one. So I mean, did all 5 stay, or did some people get supplemented? So how did it work?
They stay.
They stayed. So I'm going to meet your 5 heroes. Amazing. Yeah. All right. Do they wear capes? No, joking. Not all heroes wear capes, apparently. So, all right. Well, listen, I'm really, really excited to hear then. So who do you want to start with?
I would like to start with Marshall Goldsmith, because I think he's the most humble, generous person I ever met. And when you learn from somebody that has changed how leadership is done around the world, and how he wants to have people to continue that, how he gives his time, to develop people like me, mentor people like me, to improve the world in the way he does. So he's my first one, that's has changed the way I see my future, in terms of what I do, on what how do I want to do things, what is the impact I want for my mission, So he's the first one.
And have you met him? Have you spent time with him personally? Obviously, he is who he is. But and actually, would you mind because some people follow every single episode and some people just dive in. So can you bring sort of Marshall to life for people listening? What is he known for? Who he is as a man, and then specifically your personal experience with him.
Yeah, so Marshall Goldsmith, has been recognized as the only one number 1 leadership thinker in the world twice. He's the number 1 coach for many, many, many years. He wrote 4 New York Times bestsellers. What Get You Here Won't Get You There, Dear in Life. He has great books. So when I talk with leaders and I said about Marshall Goldsmith, said, oh, Marshall is just, it's impressive. So, so he's the kind of person that changed, how you are. I met him was like 5 years ago when I wrote my first book. I thought about who I would like in the, to be the, to write the endorsements, the blurbs of the book. And I said, the first is Marshall Goldsmith. So I sent an email. And he replied me, oh, Julian, send me like your book. I will take a look. Life is good. And, and he read and he said, okay, he made like an endorsement of the book. He was so generous.
Wow.
So generous, because, probably he has, he had a lot of things to do at that time, and not having the time to do that. And after that, we have some conversation. I said to him that I would like to him to be my mentor. So we had a lot of conversations about, how can I be, the next, not the next Marshall Goldsmith, but somebody that can be in that level. So, and last year, 2 years ago, he created that Train the Trainers program where he selected 40 people to continue his legacy. We spent 1 week in Nashville. So he was sharing during 1 week all what he learned. He has great mentors as well. Peter Drucker, Paul Hersey, it's amazing people. So he has tons of stories because he has coached 200 CEOs in the world, from the best companies. So I think this capacity to innovate in the field of leadership development and to be generous, humble, to move forward all this knowledge. This for me, it's something that I have this feeling right now that I need to serve other people. That's why I spend time also mentoring young people, because I feel like I need to do that. Somebody like Marshall did that with me. I need to do that. For so that was.
The whole pay it forward thing. Yeah, I mean, you're not the first person to talk about him this way. And I knew about the Train the Trainer program. I think what I was told was, I think he started off thinking, I'll just do a handful of people, like 10, 15 people. And it's just grown and grown, isn't it? And actually, if you think about it, the Train the Trainer model, how many people now have been influenced by that one nexus of him into the world? It must be tens of thousands of people now that have kind of benefited from his, well, let alone the people who have read his books, but actually been trained in his methods. It has to be tens of thousands now, surely.
Yeah, he sold more than 4 million books. Only What Get You Here, What Get You There was 2 million books.
Oh, was it?
It's like,
I knew it was successful. I didn't quite have the numbers, but I know that there's the network of practitioners, Marshall Goldsmith practitioners. What would that be now? Give us a sense of scale.
So he has also a community called 100 Coaches Community. So this 100 Coaches Community is amazing people there, who is shaping, the future of leadership. Actually, he was sharing the other day that it's some awards called Thinkers 50, who is like the Nobel Prize for leadership. So 60% of the coaching people, it's from this community. 30% of management and leadership is from this community. So this he's able to bring amazing people together. He has the capacity to read who can be somebody to to continue this message. And it's something like, it's like a ripple effect that somebody's so generous with this, so huge, so generous with you, that you feel that commitment. Okay, this is part of what I do. Even in all the Wellbeing Leadership trainings we do, we include content from Marshall Goldsmith all the time. So even now we are shaping training for not only for CEOs but for other leaders in terms of what he does. So yeah, I think and people are around the world. When we went to Nashville, these 40 people, they went from Japan, from Indonesia, from London, from Germany, around the world.
And he was your mentor. So how lucky are you? All right. Well, listen, I think as a number one spot, that's a pretty tough act to follow because of who he is and the level of inspiration he's given you. But no, I'm a big fan. I'm getting to know more about him. My ignorance is not so much from a point of view of lack of reverence. It's more that I'm a practitioner. I've been in leadership roles since I was, early 20s, I'd say. And I'm a self-professed non-academic. I don't read those kind of books, I'll be honest with you. I'm more of a life experience leader. I've lived a rich and diverse life till now. And most of my education, shall we say, has been in the field. But I am aware of him. And obviously talking to Brandon has opened my mind massively. And to a degree, kind of what he's achieved is secondary to the person he is for me. Like, I just love the sound of him. I think I would like to meet him and I'd like to chat with him and be kind of in his presence as much as what he actually says. So I really do like a lot of what he stands for, and meeting people in your stable now. I've met 2 or 3 now. You all say the same things about him. So he really must be everything that you guys say. So I'm glad he's number one. All right. Anything you want to say more about Marshall, or should we move on to number 2?
I think the last thing is, you were talking about when we met in Nashville. I think he has like an aura, like something that
Yeah.
is she's like levitating, you know.
Yeah.
He is this kind of person that you say he's different, you know.
Mm.
He opened his home in Nashville. We spent, you know, the first day was in his place. See all his books in different languages, pictures with Peter
Yeah.
Drucker, all these amazing
Yeah. Yeah.
people. So it was like, you know, this guy is different. I want to be like him.
Mm.
He also has a beautiful family. That for me is very inspiring to be, you know, available to have both things. He has
Yes.
all the world, and he has only 11 million miles only in American Airlines. So he has to travel quite a lot, and at the same time he has, you know, amazing family, all this community. So for sure,
Right.
it's a role model.
A role model through and through. All right. Well done. All right. Well, then that's a tough act to follow. Who's number two going to be?
So the number two is going to be my first boss. He's called Santiago Vazquez. Uh, so when I was studying my MBA, so one professor said that the first boss is going to be critical for who, you know, professionally. If you have a good first boss, you have all the good references, all the good examples. When he's not good, so good, maybe you can learn what not to do, you know, in terms. So he came to the MBA. He was a professor there, and you know, in the class, I was like fascinated. So like, you know, it was 25th of May 2013, and when I was no, an 11, sorry, it was yeah, a long time ago. And I came back to home. I said to my mom, I want to work with this guy at least, you know, 1 week because I want to know what he does. And when he came back the other week, I say, Santi, I know the importance of the first, you know, bosses. I want you to be my first boss. Uh, I was quite nervous, to be honest, you know, because I was quite young. Uh, and he said, "Okay, send me your, you know, a resume and your, you know, a motivation letter." So you know, I was really, really motivated to get that job. And he told me, "Okay, after that, it's going to be I can get like a 3 months, you know, project. It's the only because everybody wants to work in this with him, you know." So we had a special connection from the beginning. And then, yeah, he told me that I was the number one in the MBA, so I had other options in terms of, you know, more time, more, you know, more money. But I say no, 3 months with him for me it's enough. I will go. So we worked. Finally, it was almost 1 year and a half together. Uh, so we developed, and he was, you know, he was the guy who created the first model of well-being, you know, in
Mhm.
terms of people management. So I learned that when you bring well-being to the corporate world and to leadership, you can get great results. So the company was 10 years growing in terms of revenue, you know, clients, and all the time and growing also in terms of work environment. So we received awards from the, you know, European Agency for Health and Safety. We were recognized one of the 50 best companies to work for. So, you know, he taught me how to be innovative in the field of leadership development, how to be, you know, have the courage to do things differently. And also, he gave me the you know, efficiency to be who I am right now. In
Mhm.
terms of when I was 25, he was writing in his book, like, you know, a note for me. He said, "Okay, happy birthday. Uh, and you have better foundations that I have uh, in your age." And when he was my age that time, he had 3 degrees. He was already HR leader for the most important company in Spain, and I was an intern, you know. And
Yeah.
he told me, "You have better foundations that I had,"
Yeah. Yeah.
and I believe that. You
Yeah.
know, it was very important.
Well, I mean, I think um, I'm just trying to picture you then, fresh out of university. I mean, coming top in your MBA is pretty impressive already. I I love the fact you said, "I want you to be my first boss." I think that is inspired. I think I think if more people went into interview and said, I want you to be my first boss. It matters to me that I get off to the best start. I think anybody listening now who's trying to get that role, if any sort of graduates there, that's a killer line. So well done. That's a great way of positioning yourself to why he should choose you. And then having chosen you, the fact that 3 months turned into 1.5 years and more of partnership is also impressive. But to your last point, it's in, I suppose, testimony to his self-awareness and his recognition in you of what you were capable of, that he was validating you that way. And that validation is like, it's another superpower, isn't it? It says, he believes in me. I can do this. I can take this internship and this knowledge that I've got, and I can just, go for it. So is that how it landed on you? Is that how you experienced it at the time?
Yeah, for sure. It was like gives you like a superpower.
Yeah.
Like you can, all that you want, you can do it. In terms of, I see who you are, and something. He was my first like mentor as well, and the incredible thing is that the first book I wrote was with him. He invited me to write this book with him. I was his intern, and then we wrote the book together. Like it was 5-6 years later,
Yeah.
So it was like
Cool.
this full circle, that's that. So, and he made me who I am right now in terms of how I work, the level of excellence I what I do, so it's, when you have this good first mentor or leader or boss, then you do a lot of things like him, or like her.
Set you up.
So
Yeah. I've had a few newbies in my time. Obviously, I was a newbie once myself, and I had a great first boss too. But it's like, it is a responsibility, because if you get it wrong, you can really mess somebody up. I think it's important, if you've taken on a graduate, that you give them the best of you, because that is their first experience of leadership. You are their first experience. And you prefer, I think most people here in leadership would prefer it to be a good experience and learn from, not how not to be. Who wants to be on a podcast or listening to a podcast 20 years later and someone says, so who was your first boss? Oh, it was this person. And she taught me how not to lead. I mean, I'd be devastated, literally devastated. And I'm sure you would too. So I think that first, who takes your hand and leads you in your first role is so formative, and it's so such a responsibility that I think, if you are fortunate enough to have a bright and shiny graduate come into your life, and I actually got a couple I'm working with right now, I take it very seriously, their personal development. I think it's a very important thing to do. So good old Santiago, I think he's set you up well there, and sounds like you've paid each other back in spades. All right. Who's number 3 then, please?
So number 3 for me is going to be Richard Boyatzis. He's a fantastic, leader in terms of emotional intelligence, leadership around the world. It's connected with Santiago because when we work together, he introduced me his intentional change theory. So this model, that says that you need to start always by defining your ideal self,
Mm-hmm.
So define first your ideal self, then see your strengths, what you need to improve, create a journey of learning, and what are the important people to do that. So this model that for me was very impressive that time, because I was quite young, and I defined, okay, what is my ideal self in 10 years? So I wrote down, I want to have experience being a leader in some of the best companies in the world. I want to have this experience, to live close to the beach. I want to wake up and see the waves. I want to have my own company. I want to impact leaders. So I wrote down this, like, okay. And then when I see that, what I wrote, I said, like, okay, that's quite like, it's quite amazing how I designed the life I wanted, because he inspired me to do that, And he has, his new book is The Science of Change. He's the top 2% researcher in the world, most quoted, and we recorded a podcast together. It was last year, so it was great because I said to him how inspiring he was for me in the past. And he told me at the end, and maybe after this podcast, you're going to change, I can inspire you the next 10 years.
Yeah.
So the good thing is like your ideal self can change as well.
As you grow, absolutely.
As you grow. Yeah.
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 Well, before I ask you some questions about him, let's do a shout out for the podcast first of all. So what's it called? Where can people find it? The one you did with Richard.
How I find them?
How would the listeners find it? Where would it be? What's the name of the show?
Yeah. So the show was my own podcast, was the Wellbeing Leadership podcast.
Okay.
And he has, you can find him he has amazing course on Coursera called about emotional intelligence and leadership. He has a lot of books. The last one is The Science of Change. She wrote books with Daniel Goleman as well. Primary Leadership is a fantastic book. So yeah, he's
lots of great resources. Okay. I mean, this idea of change theory and manifesting and kind of being the author of your own destiny, I find this quite interesting because depending who you listen to, it's all locked in and we have no influence. We have no free will whatsoever. It all just preordained, determined by our birthplace, our genetics, our environment, and everything. And we can no more change a single cell in our bodies than we can, to buy a new house without it being something that was energetically pulling us there anyway. We were always going to buy that house. We were always going to be surfing on the beach, doing your meditation and running your business. This was a determined path for you. But we also know that manifestation is extremely powerful. If you tell yourself you can, then you probably will. If you draw your own roadmap, write down the things you'd like to be in 10 years' time, and you put that as a stake in the ground, you can be intentional about the choices you make and go towards that change that you want. So again, I'm not a practitioner, I'm not an academic, but as a person that's, I suppose, lived a little bit like that in my life, I've done a little bit of reinvention along the way, and I seem to be someone that can manifest. If I decide something, it typically gets done. But I think it's quite interesting that, there's this sort of counter argument that everything's preordained. So where do you sit? I'm just curious now. It's nothing to do with what you just said. I suppose it's a sort of little bit of a link. But where do you sit on this kind of idea that we are there's an element of our lives that is absolutely hardwired from birth in terms of where we will, where our life will take us?
So maybe I am a believer and a practitioner that I was born in Spain. So, when I did this movement to come first to Brazil, and, it wasn't easy at all. You have a lot of, cultural issues, visa issues. You have, and what I believe is, one, you visualize what you want and you feel really what you want in life. Then you say, okay, I want this, and you can create that spot. It's not it doesn't mean that it's going to be easier or it's going to be something, but I was born in a place, it's really small town in Spain, really, really small town. So, and now I have these experiences with Marshall Goldsmith, for example. He's one of the best in the history of leadership development. If you go to this place and you see the people who lives there, you say, you can't do that,
Yeah.
And I believe that you can define the destiny or what you want in life, and do the steps required to get that. For sure, you need to be awareness of your strengths, what are you good at, or where maybe what, and truly go to where your heart wants to go, in terms of that. So I believe you can model or create that. If you see some science research about this, you see like Michael Phelps, how he visualized how he's going to win, and for sure there is a lot of work. It's not going to be easy, and sometimes you don't get there, but at least you can go to other places that are amazing.
Yeah. Well, I guess on a human level is why I have this particular format as well, because if we're really thinking about how you got here to even the stage where you're working with Richard and you're talking about change theory and you're manifesting your future life where you've got this beautiful daily experience by the beach, it kind of a little bit started with Sante believing in you in the first place and giving you the confidence that you can make the changes you want to see. So it all, if in my opinion anyway, all the people that come into your life, good and bad, they shape everything. They shape the trajectory, the nature in which you live your life, your self-belief, your self-worth. It's all one big continuous feedback loop. And I suppose I put this podcast together because I thought there's always going to be some standouts that say that person absolutely changed the trajectory of my life. And it sounds to me like Richard gave you the courage and confidence to say, I can go from a small town in Spain and imagine a global existence where I can determine where I live, where I work, what I'm going to do, what my purpose is. And, I'm a big fan of that. And I believe in manifestation personally. I think clearly, otherwise I wouldn't even be doing this. A lot of people talk about doing creative endeavor, don't they? I'm going to have a podcast one day. Oh, right. Okay, good. Any help you want, let me know. I'll give you all the support you need. How many people actually have a podcast? I've published books myself. It's a big endeavor. To publish a book takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of, it does take courage because you're putting something creative into the world for people to critique. And it's so much easier not to, isn't it? I bet when you were writing your book and you published it, you held your breath on the day it was published and went, oh, I hope people like this. So I'm a big believer in it. I'm pleased that that's the path you've taken as well. And let's and cheers to Richard for it is Richard, right? I've said that correctly.
Yeah.
What's the surname? Richard
Boyatzis.
Okay.
Boyatzis. Yeah.
Got it. So yeah, here's to him and his influence on you. I like that very much. Is there anything more you want to say about him? Because I feel like I've sort of, taken you off a path there.
I think the last thing about him is about this idea that, is think about this also in terms of leadership, because sometimes leaders, they want to communicate the plan. We're going to do this. But, you bring to need the purpose behind that. Why we are doing that,
Yeah.
So it's connecting with this big thing first, because people are more connected with that kind of purpose in terms of leadership teams, of what do you want to achieve as a team. So this idea itself is also good for in terms of leadership. What do I want in terms of my team? How do I want to lead? How do I want in our leadership training programs? We start with this. What is your ideal you as a leader? And it's great when you say people tell me about the good things of the people that inspire you the most, and people is like, it's like I like this, and try to bring that to your own leadership style. Sometimes the only thing you need is to write down what do you think is good from the people leaders who have inspired you, and there were things that you don't want to do because we learn a lot from these kind of leaders that they are not good leaders as well. So yeah.
Oh, good. No, 100% agree with everything you're saying. All right. So do you want to move off from Richard on to number 4? I think we're up to now, aren't we?
Yeah, we are going to number 4.
Very good.
So the number 4 for me, it's somebody who I met in this in Nashville with this Marshall program. She's Susie Burke. She's an amazing person. When you connect with somebody, she was vice president of Xerox a lot of years. She coached a lot of leaders levels around the world. So we have this connection. Marshall, he has like a strategy called daily questions. So you ask yourself daily questions about the things are important for you. Did I do my best, to set clear goals? Did I do my best, to be happy? Did I do my best to be a better leader? So it's good to have like an accountability partner. So Susie and I, we were talking the last 1.5 years, and for example, we were talking yesterday about our yearly goals, and you know, it's like when you have somebody that keeps you accountable and trusts you, it's like this relationship that is making you a better human being. Every week you are talking with somebody that you consider inspiring, that she has high, excellence levels, energy levels, that she wants also this capacity to serve, to help other people all the time. We are from different countries. We have completely different age. We are not the same gender, and we connect every week. And I am a better human being because of Susie. So for me, having this, find somebody that keep you accountable every week and at the same time inspire you.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's great because when you love somebody, you try to help this person the most you can, and she's doing the same with me. It's like, this thing that is like, no, but I want to help you more. It's like, no, but I help you. And that's great.
And is she honest with you? Does she tell you things that you don't? You know, I have a friend, I've said this before on a podcast, her name's Jo, and I know I could ring other easier people who would just reassure me and tell me I'm amazing. But if I want the truth, I ring Jo, because I trust her integrity and I trust her to be honest with me. And I can't tell you how much I value that. And she gives me a really hard time quite often. Is that a similar relationship with you and Susie? Good or bad, you're going to get the right answer, not just the answer you are. You know what I mean? When you ring up the person you know is going to agree with you. Maybe Susie isn't that person. She's someone who's going to tell you the truth. Is that correct?
For sure.
Good.
For sure. For sure she is, It's something that we teach in the leadership program about feedback. So you need, in terms of feedback, you need empathy and you need to say the truth,
Yeah.
because sometimes leaders, they do this, the truth, half truth, that's not good, or they don't have the empathy. So she always tell me things that sometimes I don't want to listen, but I need to listen in a very loving way.
Yeah.
And I try to do the same with her, in terms of, because when you really love somebody, you want to tell the truth in terms of what is good for this person, So when you make those relationships not superficial, and you make them deep, because I believe leadership, you need this to be deep with the person. I need to understand how Julia is, where where is the people is more important for you, how are your routines. You need to understand how the person really is.
Yes, 100%.
So for me, I truly believe on that. And one thing we always teach leaders is that practice this small question. Is like, start a one-on-one asking the people, how are you feeling right now?
Yeah.
And listen.
Yeah, really listen.
How are you feeling? How are you feeling?
Yeah.
And a lot of leaders, they said, I was going to, to fire this guy who was a high performer the last 3 years. And the last year he was doing nothing.
Mm.
And I was going to fire. And we said, ask, how is he feeling? And they said, I'm having this personal issue. I'm having, I'm having a divorce, or I'm having this illness. And then you realize that leadership is about connection,
Yeah.
You need that connection. So also in this kind of people that is your accountability partner,
Oh, there's so much I want to say about this. So about the accountability first. I've just taken on what do they call them now? I don't know. I don't want to say body coach because that sounds a bit, I don't know, like a bit vain. But it's somebody who's helping me with my nutrition, my training, my sleep, all my physical things. But there's some sort of mental elements, if you like, particularly on the sleep side. And most of what he tells me, I do know at some level. I've reached a certain amount of years, and fitness has always been a thing for me. But I think the reason he's in my life is the accountability piece. It's the bit that I know on a Friday I'm going to have to report to him on how I've done the week before, from the week that's gone by. And it just keeps me sharper, keeps me focused, and the accountability thing is key. And you can extrapolate that across all kinds of relationships in your life. But again, back to this idea of being honest. You can lie to yourself, you can do that, and you can lie to your friends, and you can lie to everybody if you want to. But where's the development in that? Where's the kind of how do you learn if you're going to just BS people, to use a vernacular? And the other thing, when I was listening to you talk about Susie, and I totally agree with you, this idea of feedback being love, because if you're going to be honest, it's because I totally agree. It's because you actually love that person. Because again, it's so easy to say the superficial thing. No, you're amazing. It was amazing. Don't worry about it. You were great. Real love says, there were some good bits, but actually, maybe this could be a way forward for you. Have a think about that, So I do, I've said this before on the podcast, I take constructive feedback as a form of love. And there was another thing you were saying, a bit of accountability. It's gone. Happens sometimes, Julian. I get a bit overexcited about something and forget. It will come back to me. But no, I think people like Susie in your life are vital. Oh, and I just remembered what I was going to talk about. I totally believe this full investment in the people in front of you, really knowing them. In fact, this whole people are everything thing, the title of it, started in a book I was a contributor for. I had to write a chapter on what I felt was required as a leader. And I called it People Are Everything. That was my title. And it was a book called Breaking Barriers. And in there, I talked exactly what you're saying, which is that there's no shortcut for truly knowing the people in front of you. You have to ask the questions. You have to be genuinely interested in who they are. And only then can you bring out the best in them. Like I said, I'm not qualified by any sort of academic measure, but I've spent enough time kind of working with people to know it's the source of everything, is to actually know the person in front of you. So, yeah, I'm all for that. I think that's absolutely the only way. And you're very lucky to have Susie in your life, and it sounds like she is too. And anyone listening, if you don't find an honest friend, go find one, because they're absolutely treasures, aren't they?
Yeah, and she published a book called Fundamentals, and it's a beautiful book. Fundamentals, beautiful book about the importance of self-talking. Actually, she was at Harvard last week. She was teaching that at Harvard with the other authors, Richard and Ryan. And for me, what is fascinating as well is this willingness to help other leaders. Okay, I want to change that. The importance of the self monster we have inside, our self-talk, that sometimes is not healthy enough.
Sabotages us, yeah.
So yeah, I think it's this thing of how you talk to yourself, and then this is going to be a reflection of the relationships you have with other people. And as Marshall says, that the importance of follow up. You can do a great leadership process and identify what you would need to work in with this leader. But the most important thing is follow up. Keep accountable. How are you doing that? How are you doing that? So follow up, for me, it's a very important, word in terms of leadership. You need to follow up all the time. What are the behaviors you want to change to improve, the strengths you want to practice more? That's very important.
Oh, it's like going to the gym, isn't it? You can't just go once and say that's done. Yeah. You got to keep going, and you got to stick with it. And it's people that keep us going. All right, okay. Well, then we're on to the finale. Who's number 5?
So number 5 is it's my it's family, in terms of, because I believe it's like this one figure of what they model me. I think all the people I talked before, how they bring me from from the root of where I was born. So they had like different strengths, and it's this balance of my dad and my mom. I think my dad, he gave me the strength, the ambition to be somebody very relevant, to be very disciplined. I learned with him how to be very disciplined what you do. And with my mom, it was more about emotional intelligence, how to care people, how to, try to serve all the time. So I think, yeah, my dad and my mom, they bring me these both sides, of the discipline and focus, and at the same time be caring with people, be a loving person. So have this balance. So I think they are they're really important in who I am. Yeah, for
All
sure.
right. So so we could just unpick that a bit. So tell me more about your dad then. So he's given you the strength and ambition, but what's his backstory? Where did that come from? How was he able to give that to you? Tell us more about that.
So my dad, he was leading a national park in Spain. So since I was born, he was leading teams. A group of people. He was so I saw like, coming 20 people and say, my father, do this, do this. It's like, for me, it was really, really inspiring. And my dad is somebody that he was very tough in terms of, for him, the results were really important. But at the same time, he was able to recognize people, to talk and to understand how they are. So I think this balance of what I believe good leadership is,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of care. Uh, People need to deliver results, and at the same time, you need to take care of them. They are not opposite things. This is what I believe, that you can have high performance at the same time you can have well-being. This is what I believe. And so I think he was somebody who, go to run. He went to run, practice sport. He was really, my dad is very strong physically. So, so that was really inspiring for me to see that from the very beginning, when I raced. So yeah.
And is he still with us now? Is he still in your life?
Yeah, he's retired from work,
Uh-huh.
and but he's still inspiring me. He retired last year. He did an amazing interview on the radio, and in terms of how he did what he did, always exceeding expectations. He gave
Mm.
more than was expected in his role,
Yeah.
and how this brings something positive to the community where he lives. Uh, so yeah, for me, it's a role model, and he also always pushed me to to do more and do better.
Well, make sure you send him this, because I imagine
Yeah.
he'll be quite. I'm sure you've told him a million times, but I think it'd be nice. I mean, how you've described it in your relationship, you can just tell there's a lot of warmth between you and a huge amount of respect. So I think
Yeah,
he'd be thrilled to hear this, I'm sure.
yeah. And my dad didn't speak English. He started to learn English with 62 years old,
Oh, okay.
and now he has more. He has a great English. It's like when he wants something, he's like,
He just does
okay,
excels at it.
every day morning, go in the car, English, 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 English. And that for me is like, okay,
That's impressive. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, he sounds amazing. What's his name? Can I just say? What's his name?
Manuel. It's
Manuel.
called Manuel. Yeah,
Lovely.
Manuel.
And tell me more about your mum then. What's her backstory?
So my mom, she's a teacher, and I think she always bring me that, you know, what I do is teaching for leaders and executives,
Yeah.
So I have this passion for teaching, and I believe how teaching can, can change people and bring that. So she was always like somebody. She was taking, all the people she taught in her life, she always gave present to her. It's like, you are the best teacher I had. She shaped,
Yeah.
you changed how I am right now. So I think she brought me that, to not do what you do for, okay, because it's your job. It's because you want to change, you want to serve other people,
Yeah.
and that for me is part of what I do. What I feel is I serve all the time. My job is fabulous. I'm serving all the time. I helping people, and they write me, and I say, okay, I'm helping people, and that's
It's a lot.
fantastic,
It's a great feeling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. If I told you how often teachers appear on this podcast, it's like there's a special place. Well, there's a special place and there's a terrible place. So it's either one or the other. There's never really an ambivalence about teachers. They're either the people that saw you, inspired you, completely transformed your life in the positive, or occasionally you hear someone say, this teacher absolutely wrecked my life. But I would say that by far the majority is teachers that have been inspiring to people. And I agree. I think if you have a life in service where you are giving and supporting and nurturing and developing people, I think there's no other feeling like it. I mean, I have a very small version of that in my day to day. But to actually be a teacher, and then to have a teacher as a mum, that must be pretty special, I think.
Yeah, it is.
Did she ever teach you formally? Did you ever go to one of her classes? That'll be quite interesting.
I spent time with professors, see her like in class when I was older, not like when I was younger,
Yeah.
But she also gave me sometimes, the space of, you say, I know you do that, you are capable of, and really, believe in who I am. I think when somebody believes in you, it's like, this is very, very important in terms of who you are later, So,
It
yeah.
only takes one. It does only take one. It really does. I sorry I interrupted you there, but I just want to make that one little point, which is, it really does, in my opinion, take one person that can see the potential in you and make you believe it, can be so transformative. It happened to me, I'm sure, and I know it's happened to many people because of how people have talked about key inspirations in this podcast. But even if you've had absolutely nothing else, if you have that one person, that can be so transformative. So, sorry, I just wanted to make that point.
Yeah, for sure. I truly agree. And I think all these people that I mentioned, they were like modeling who I am right now. I think that's why this podcast is so powerful and fantastic, because it's to realize who you are, it's a lot about others, So now the other way is like who I want to be for the people I interact with, I spend time with, who I want to be.
Well, that's
Uh,
no, honestly, you're segueing so nicely into the next phase, because actually those two questions are the two questions next. So it's like, what do you recognize in those people as direct contributors to who you are right now? And then how are you going to take this forward, and who do you want to be? What's next for you? So those are actually my next two questions. So should we start with the first one, which is, you've picked up on a few themes, and you've made wonderful tributes. There was one I wrote down which I really loved, which is, I think you said about Susie that she makes you a better person by knowing her. I mean, that's an incredible tribute, I would say. Anybody hearing that about themselves would be thrilled to bits. And you've got Marshall, as a grounding, as a guiding set of principles of how to be and what to do. I think that must be extremely powerful. You've got Sante, who I guess opened up this whole idea of well-being as being a piece, and why that's so important. You can't have, in his opinion and your practice, they are, interlinked really. And then with Richard, you've got someone who, I suppose, allowed you to invent yourself and reinvent yourself and believe that was even possible. So, you've got this great set of 4 inspirational leaders, and then this incredible set of parents. So there's a lot there, and no pressure, Julian, but you better be successful with all of that. Otherwise, because there are no excuses. I'm only kidding. But do you see, I've summarized their impact, but are there qualities from each of those people or things that have come to you in this conversation? You say, I am this way because, and these are the things I directly attribute to these people.
Yeah, for sure. I think the first is excellence. I think I learned from all of them to do great things, to do your best in what you do. So they all taught me that very strongly, I think they all serve. They have this service mindset to give to others and to help in terms of that. Their humility, they're very successful people. You say, oh, but they're humble, really humble, and for me, that's very important. And I think the generosity,
Yes.
is, they all were really generous with me. So now I feel I need to be generous with a lot of people, in terms of, okay, I need to continue that,
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there are the 4 traits that I see there in common,
Yeah. Oh, that's clear. Absolutely clear. So go on then. So if we're talking about continuation, what are you taking forward then? What is next for you? How are you going to respect these people by whatever endeavor you're going to take forward?
Yeah, it's lovely, this question, because this is, okay, now with all of this, what is the responsibility you have forward, to move forward? So I think for me, the first is to bring the concept of wellbeing leadership to the world, to bring that something part of the leadership development programs, the companies, how leaders are leading. So we are bringing that in the future in a new book, in new things that we are doing. So I think to bring this concept to the world, I think this is the number one. The second, for me, it's try to be one of the best in what I do. In terms of, if I am really, really good, I can impact a lot of millions, millions of people. Marshall, he does. He impacts millions of people, So I believe that, okay, you can inspire one or you can inspire 1 million. So I want to be the one who inspire millions. And this is something that, that I need to continue. And the last one would be like, okay, I need to be a role model for that as well. If I talk about well-being, if I talk about well-being leadership, how am I do it? How I am, what are my habits, what I'm doing every day, how I treat people, So I believe that you can inspire somebody when you're honest, you have this integrity, you walk the talk. So yeah, I think it's to bring my mission to the world, that I have from is very, very clear. And yeah, continue, to bring that to the world and be a good friend, a good son and a good guy for the world.
So, I mean, that's a wonderful list of things to aspire to. I mean, a big task. They're not small objectives, are they? I want to inspire millions of people. But you have a role model in Marshall. You have a roadmap. You understand, and you have the capacity and capability to do it. So it's not fanciful. It doesn't feel like an unachievable thing, given who you are and the world that you operate in. So I wish you all the luck in it, but I don't think I need to. I think you actually are on that trajectory from what I'm hearing. And I think the how bit is super important because, success can be measured in many ways. But for me, I remember going to the kids' parents' evening things. You turn up and they want to tell you how they're doing in the class and they're going to pass this or what exams they've just done. And I just naturally assumed that if the teachers were doing their job properly and I knew my kids were bright enough, that bit was taken care of. So my only question was always, And how are they? How are they in class? Are they kind? Are they courteous? Do they pay attention? Are they respectful? How are they with the other kids? How are they with you? Because it really mattered to me how they were, as much as what they were doing and what they were achieving. And honestly, I think if I was to ever get my chance to give my 5, and that's coming, I suppose, at some point, I'm going to have to do it. I will include my children at some point, and I will probably say that is my most, the bit I love most about them is, I mean, they're both, wonderful human beings and they do exceptional work, but how they are is what I'm I don't like to use proud. I'm not proud of, because it sounds like I am kind of crediting myself in some ways, but I love that about them. I love it that's who they are. So it sounds like you've got a pretty decent plan there. I want to ask you one last question before we sort of wrap up, which is, I think Nancy led me to Brandon and Brandon led me to you. I always like to ask my guests, well, then who should I speak to next and why? Is there somebody in your life you think would enjoy this experience and I would enjoy meeting them?
Yeah, I think Susie is the right person right now.
Ah, okay.
I think she has fresh ideas about, the importance of self-talk and, in leadership and in life. And she's a wonderful person as you are. So I think you will love to talk to her. Yeah, I think she's a great, she can be a great guest.
Oh, wonderful. And if you obviously know each other, you can make each other accountable, can't you? If you're listening, Susie, Julian's going to make you accountable for doing this. Just picking on your theme together. Oh, that would be amazing if you could make that happen. I'd love to meet
For
her.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that sort of, I suppose the way she thinks and how she operates would be very interesting for me to meet. So listen, first, before we wrap up then, or lastly, is there anything you'd like to signpost? Is there anything you'd like any of our listeners to go and check out about you? Obviously your business, but what about your book? Should we kind of push people to go and read those if there's a link or something?
Yeah, well, they can go to my LinkedIn. So you have there my profile, and then Amazon will have my book is in Spanish right now, so probably next is going to be in English. So yeah, we have some more, but I post a lot of things in English on my LinkedIn, so where I am more more active.
Yeah.
So it would be a pleasure to
Connect with anyone.
to connect with them there, and I would like to thank you for the time. It was like the time was like, oh my gosh, it's like a very fast and amazing conversation. You're doing very something important, because it's for who is here for me. It's like a present to do that,
Yeah.
to can honor all these people and can think about the what they have in common, what they taught me. How can I continue that? So congratulations for what you do, and you do something very important.
Oh, bless you. No, well, listen, you've been a wonderful guest because you've been very thoughtful, very thought-provoking. And I love the people that you've brought to us to listen to. I think anybody who hasn't had the benefit of some of these people's work, I go back to my original point about me being a bit thinly read. It's a bit of a theme in this podcast. I don't read enough. It's partly because my eyesight's not so good these days, but I think it's something, wherever you are learning from other people, that's so valuable. And you've brought so many quality people to this conversation, including yourself, to help anybody that's listening to go and find some resources to see if they can be optimal as well. And it's just a very inspiring set of people. And honestly, you are an embodiment, shall we say, of the principles within those books. Particularly the surfing thing. We never got to how good you were, by the way. So I'm going to press you on that. Before we finish, can you actually ride a wave properly, like you see on the telly?
yeah, I can do it. I can do what Gabriel Medina does, is like flying with the surfboard, but I can ride a really big waves. So yeah, I can do it properly.
All right. Well, then that is very impressive and a brilliant note to end on. So, listen, Julian, thank you for your company today and for sharing your 5. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you, and thank you mostly for taking the time.
Pleasure was mine. Thank you.
Well, that was very, very lovely, Julian. And he's a fitting ending to season 4, I think. Season 4, can you believe? Yeah, and season 5, I've actually recorded already, pretty much. I think it's in the can, as they say. So already on to number 6. So enjoy the time between now and then. I think I'm going to launch it on Tuesday the 7th. Tuesday, 7th of April. I'll be coming back to you. So you've got a couple of weeks off. Don't go too far away because I want you to come back to me. But I hope you've enjoyed this season. I have. I think we've had an eclectic bunch. I think I've learned heaps from listening to everybody, and I hope you did too. Yeah, and just keep tuning in, keep getting involved, keep commenting, liking, subscribing, all the things you do. And I will look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. All the best. See ya. Bye.